Well, so now let's talk a little bit about some brass tacks. You know, we talked a lot about the product and the theory of network marketing. I think probably the biggest question that people ask when they first get involved in network marketing is, gosh, you know, I get it, it's so cool and everything, but like, what do I say? Right? Has anybody felt that way? Just a little, God, like, what do I say when I call my friends? And you know, people get a little freaked out about it. So just relax, because we're gonna kind of talk about, you know, how do you go about actually communicating with people about this? The first thing is, the mistake that neophyte network marketers make in their utter excitement and joy about what they found is they just go puke on everybody. You know? Let me tell you about, oh, it's so exciting, you know, let me tell you about, and the person is kind of going, you know, like this. And so we found in our previous company that, like, you know, it's like the more you say, the less you make. So you have to be very, very clear about your focus. What is, when you initially reach out to somebody, what am I trying to do here in this first interaction? And so really what you have to understand is that there's really only two simple objectives when you first call somebody. Now, I'm mostly talking about, I'm going to pull my pants up. Driving me crazy. Okay, there we go. Okay. When you first reach out, you've just got two simple objectives, and this is when you're talking to somebody, like your warm market. You know, your warm market, people, have you ever heard somebody say to you, oh, no, I don't want to talk to family and friends? I'm like, why? Those are the people who already know you and like you and trust you. Talk to those people. That's your advantage. It's like the golden ticket, so don't skip those people. But when you're talking to people, you have two objectives. You want to get them to watch a video, and then you want to schedule a follow-up call. Why do you want to get them to watch a video? Because the video will do it perfectly every time. The video can be the expert. If I call you up, and I start talking to you about everything that I know. Did you know that blood currency has thymohydroguanidine in it, and it's an acetylcholinesterase uptake inhibitor for your brain, and blah, blah, blah. The person is thinking, oh my gosh, Paul is so smart. Wow, he really knows a lot. He's like an expert in this thing. And you know, that probably took a lot of time, and I don't have that kind of time. So this is probably not a business for me. So I talked them right out of the business with all of my fabulous knowledge. But if all I did was send them a video, and then I called them back, and when I called them back, it wasn't just me, it was me and my upline was gonna explain it. They're going, well, gee, all Paul did was send me a video, and they're like, he didn't even answer my questions, this other guy answered my questions. If that's all this business is, that's easy, I could do that. So do you see how that can duplicate, whereas you're fabulous being an expert can't, really? Does that make sense? So you want to just keep it like just freaking idiot simple, right? Because this is a business where it's not about what you can do. Because we all have our individual talents and we can do a lot of things. It's not about what you can do, it's about what you can duplicate. And so, if the next person can't do what you just did, don't do it. Because you want everybody from jail to Yale to be able to do this. Okay? So it's gotta be something that everybody, I'll tell you something, I'll just tell you a quick story. In my previous business, I sponsored a guy, and this was like somebody on the chicken list, you know, like, oh God, I don't know, he's so successful, do I want to call him? Well, this was a guy named Glenn Overton, and Glenn owned hotels and restaurants, and the guy was already a multimillionaire, and he didn't need it, but we still contacted Glenn, and you know what, he joined our business. And then I was trying to tell Glenn how to do it, but of course, you know, Glenn knew better, right? So what Glenn did is he bought billboards up and down I-15 at $10,000 a pop. He bought 5 of them, and you know, advertising his business. Did people join his business? Yeah. But like, what's your duplicate? What do I tell them to do? Okay, no, so like, here's what you do. You go drop $50,000 on signs up and down I-15, and yeah, is that gonna work? No. You know, it worked for him initially, but it's not gonna duplicate. So, getting back to this is your objective when you first call somebody, okay? Now, you have to understand, all you're doing is you're inviting them. And you have to understand the difference between an invitation and a presentation. It is not your job to do that. It's just your job to do this. It always cracks me up when somebody says, well, yeah, but I called them and they said it's too expensive. How did we get too expensive? What were you talking? You're supposed to get them to watch the video. How'd you get too expensive? You know, so I know that they're not, you know, following the steps if we're already there and they haven't even seen the video. So, we want the tools to do the talking. And now, a lot of times you'll call them and you'll say, you know, you're going through the process of getting them to watch a video and they're going, yeah, but just tell me what it is. No, really, what's it about? Just tell, and they're asking all these questions. Here's what I try to say to them. Look, you know, I'm sure you're wondering about a lot of things the same way I was. The video's going to answer probably 90% about what you're, you know, wondering about. I want to make sure you get the big picture. And then once you have that, we can have a discussion afterwards. If you have any more questions, great, we'll talk. But just do me a favor, just watch the video. It's like 3 minutes, and it'll kind of give you the big picture. So direct them back to the video. Don't get lost in the weeds answering about a bunch of questions. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's talk about your posture. And I'm not talking about, you know, your posture. I'm talking about the posture of how you approach people. It's an emotional posture, a temperature. Have you ever noticed how, if you're talking to somebody and you start leaning forward, what do? They lean back, right? And if you lean back, most people tend to lean forward. That's really illustrative of how this interaction should be. It's a posture of who needs who. A lot of times people are like, oh God, I want to call this person because I really need him in my business, right? Who needs who? You know, the average person wakes up and the alarm clock goes off for them at 7 or something, and they want to throw it at the wall, and then they scrape themselves off the mattress and kind of stumble into the shower and get the eye boogers out, and they, you know, they're wandering off to get into their car for their crummy commute to the job that they probably wouldn't, you know, have chosen if they could, working with people that they probably wouldn't work with if they didn't have to come home and get the fast food and turn on the boob tube to forget their crappy life and maybe knock back a beer and starts all over the next morning. Who needs who? They need you. You've got the freedom. So it's just having the confidence of knowing what I have to offer. I have health, I'm calling you because I want to bless you, and I'm just offering this, and it's up to you. So that's kind of just like background posture for you. So now, what do you say? I have a 7-step phone call, and if you kind of learn this, you keep your friends, okay? We don't want anybody to feel like a target and like high pressure. Did you know salespeople don't, like, I'm talking about the typical idea of that high pressure salesperson, they don't do well in network marketing. Because nobody wants to feel that way, and this business is based on me getting you to do next what I just did to you. So if what I just did to you is icky, high pressure, like, ugh, will you do it to the next person? Not a chance, you're nice people, you won't do that, right? So learn this. And I'm telling you, it works, because it sure worked for me. So 7 steps. The first one is just you break the ice. You call your friend. Hey, John, it's Paul. How's it going? Oh, good, Paul. How are you? Step 2. Hey, John, have I caught you at a bad time? And listen, don't feel like you have to furiously write this down, because I can send you to a website where all this is and you can download the script, okay? If you want to take notes, great, but I'm just telling you it's there for you. Have I caught you at a bad time? This is really, really important, because if you catch them at that time, you know, they're not going to have the emotional space to to hear what you're saying. So if they say, oh God, I'm really good, then I'm like, great, you know what, I'm gonna give you a buzz back. Because it's not worth trying to proceed if you have caught them at a bad time. Third step, well, listen, once they say, no, this is fine, right? Well, listen, John, I'm kind of running right now, so I don't have a ton of time, but I thought it was important that I give you a quick call to tell you that I've come across something that I have found, it's really got my attention. I thought it was super compelling. I'm excited about it. I've jumped in with both feet, and I thought of calling you because of blank. Whatever that reason is. And typically it's like a compliment. I thought of calling you because you're just so fun. I think we're gonna have a blast together. Or I thought of calling you because I know you keep your ear to the ground for something outside of dentistry. Or whatever you thought of calling them. Okay, so I want to break this down just quickly. Why do we say this? Well, I'm kind of running right now, so I don't have a lot of time, but I thought it was important to give you a quick call. It accomplishes a couple of things. Let's not get into a bunch of questions, right? I don't have really time to talk. But I thought it was so important that I'm actually stopping running out the door to call you, because it's that important, all right? To tell you that I've come across something that's really got my attention, I'm excited about it, and I've jumped in with both feet. Now that's kind of a posture statement. See, here's the thing, in network marketing, nobody wants to be part of your test market. If you call somebody and say, well, I'm kind of thinking about this thing, and I don't know, what do you think? They want to know what you think. Once you decide and step across the line and say, hey, listen, this is pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I've jumped in with both feet. Thought of calling you because of blank, blank, blank. That's very different than being kind of timid, tepid about it. So I just always remember, nobody wants to be part of my test market. I've got to step across that line. And I thought of you because it's what the connection is, okay? All right. So, step 4, and this is the secret sauce. I mean, when I started doing this, it changed everything. I said, hey, you know what, John? This may or may not be something for you. I'm not sure. But knowing you, I think you're gonna love it, and I honestly think you could be great at it. So what does this accomplish? It accomplishes letting them know, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this. It's all good, posture. And you have my total permission to say no, I gave it to you. May or may not be something for you, I don't know. But I really think you're gonna love it. Now they're not sitting there thinking, oh God, how do I tell them no? How do I tell them no? How do I get out of this? So they're spending so much time and energy trying to figure out how to wiggle out of it that they can't even hear what you're saying. I gave you permission, it's fine. Because I don't need you. I'm doing this with or without you. Do you see what a strong posture that is? And it's attractive to people, okay? So, number 5, would it be all right if I texted or emailed you a couple of short videos that'll give you a quick overview? This is such a magic little phrase. Hey, would it be all right if, because nice people almost automatically say, oh, sure, would it be all right if, sure, right? So it's almost like a knee-jerk. So would it be all right if I texted or emailed you a couple of short videos that'll give you a quick overview? These are the 2 that I use. I think it's a pretty good combination of both product and business. This one is on your replicating website. It's also on your app. So it's called This is Rain, and it's under the Rain Life videos. It's 3 minutes, and it's really fun. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. It's very cute, but also lots of information. And then I send them to seedtsunami.com. There are 2 quick little videos on there. The main one is like a 6-minute overview about the products and the business, and I created that. It's a kind of an animated PowerPoint. And the combination of these 2, it's like, 9 minutes or 11 minutes max, and it gives them just enough information. All we're trying to do is spark curiosity and give ourselves a basis for conversation, right? So that accomplishes that. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay. So, now, if they say, yeah, sure, send it over. Step 6. Okay, well listen, John, I know you're going to have a ton of questions once you watch this, and I want to make sure that I get your questions answered while they're freshly on your mind. Would it be all right if I give you a buzz back in, I don't know, an hour? It'll take you 11 minutes to watch everything, right? There's that thing again. Would it be all right if, right? Oh, sure. So, now, if they say yes right away, great. Okay, perfect. I'll give you a buzz back in 60 minutes. A lot of times, people will say, oh, God, I'm running here and there and everywhere. It's a terrible time. So, if they do that, the last thing that you ever want to do is say, oh, no problem. Well, I'll tell you what, just, look at it at your own time, at your own pace, and give me a buzz back if you're interested. Guess who is never calling you back? And it's not because they're not interested. It's because they're busy. And it's because their life already has a direction and they're going in it. And it's like physics. What is that first law of thermodynamics or whatever? An object, unless acted upon, just keeps going that way. Well, it's the same thing with human beings, right? You have to stay in charge of the interruption. So what I do is I'll just say, hey, you know what, I totally get it. What about tomorrow? Would there be a specific time tomorrow that might be more convenient for you? So we're going to land on a time. I'm going to help them tell me a time. And once we land on it, here is what I do to make it so that I have better compliance, so that we actually have a phone call. I say, oh, all right, well, hey, I tell you what, let me put that in my calendar. And so I let them hear me put it in my calendar. And guess what, I'm usually not putting it in my calendar because I'm going to do it after the call, but I'll go, oh, okay, great, hold on. Call John, 2 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, John, got it. Now, so John heard me do that, right? What does it say to John? Oh, this is real. This is a real appointment. He put it in his calendar, so this is, I better remember, right? It just puts a little bit, and then I'll actually say, so, okay, great, John, tomorrow, 2 o'clock. That'll give you enough time to watch it for sure, right? Let them agree that it will give them enough time to watch it for sure, right? Okay, oh, there you go, see? And then I also, because I have a brain like a sieve, I put an alarm in my phone to remind me that I'm going to call John at 2 o'clock. So that it's professional. You always want to follow through on what you say you're going to do, because then they know that you're taking it as seriously as you want them to take it. Right? Okay, so now, once you finish that call and you've fixed a time, an actual time that's a real appointment, you call your upline. And I call Derek and say, hey Derek, listen, I call my buddy John, we have a 2 o'clock tomorrow. Would you be available to do a 3-way call with me? Now typically he would be. If he wasn't, then I would find somebody else to do the call with me. And sometimes it even works if, like, let's say John's a real estate agent, maybe I have a real estate agent in my upline or a real estate agent on my team. You just want to have kind of some connection there. And so then when I call my friend back, I already have Derek on the phone. Now that may seem like an ambush. I don't ever want anybody to feel ambushed. I used to call people back and say, hey, and start a conversation, start answering their questions. And then I would say, well, listen, my friend Derek knows more about this. Why don't you let me get him on the phone? He can tell you. But they don't hear, let me get my friend Derek on the phone. They hear, I'm going to put the enforcer on the phone with you. And he's going to break your legs and make you join my business. And so they go, yeah, no, I don't want to talk to Derek. I just want to talk to you. So here's what I learned how to do. I just kind of have Derek go over to the phone and say, hey, John, it's Paul. Hey, listen, crazy thing. Right before I was going to call you, my buddy Derek called me. We were chatting, and then I realized it was time to call you. I almost hung up, and then I went, oh, wait a minute. No, this is perfect. This is too good. Derek knows a whole lot more about this than I do. So I hope you don't mind. I asked him to stay on the line with me because I actually want to hear what he says too. Is that okay? So that's just how I handle it. You guys may have a different way of handling it, but just know if you try to get them on the phone after, they usually feel like you're bringing on the enforcer. So you may have to say, if they say, no, you can say, well, listen, the guy's not like the high pressure guy. He just knows more about it than I do. We don't do high pressure. Something like that, okay? Oh yeah, there he is. There's a bad guy again. And then you want to just introduce this person, your upline, if it is your upline. Say, hey, John, this is my friend Derek. Derek, this is John. Hey, Derek, John is like a top real estate guy in our area. We're great friends. He's a terrific guy. And John, this is my buddy Derek. Derek's been in the industry for 35 years. He's made millions. You know, whatever you want to say about your upline, you're just edifying each person to kind of create a connection, and then zip it. Just don't say anything else. Let them talk. Don't butt in. Let the other person do the talking so that the person thinks, hey, that was easy. All I did was just send me a video and this other guy explained it all, and that's simple, and that's all it is. I can do that. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And you become the sponge. It's like you're going to school, right? Because you're hearing, oh, and I see what Derek says when they ask that question. Oh, okay, that's the answer to that. And then you're just going, and pretty soon, you're the resource for your team to do the 3-way calls with. That's duplication. Can you see how that can keep duplicating on your team? So this is pretty simple, you know? If you want to really review this in depth, you can go to this website, tsunamivids.com. I don't know if you're familiar with this. This is a resource library that I created for the team. And there's lots and lots of videos about the product, and there's a whole tab there that's distributor training that you can just go through. There's a whole training on how to overcome objections. You know, I'm sure you've all gotten, is this one of those pyramid schemes? I don't have enough time. That's too expensive. There's about 4 or 5 of them that you get all the time. So you can go there and you can get a training on that. This training that I just did is there in a little bit more in depth. And the script is right under the video. You just click under the video and you can download that script. And it's about 5 pages because with each step it goes through the psychology like I just did. So it says the step, it says the psychology, step, psychology, and then the last page is just the script. Okay?
Yeah.
So easy. Yes?
When using Facebook for prospect list, when you have them agree to watch the video, like in Messenger and such, how do you patch through this? Like, they say they're going to watch it.
Okay.
Waiting and looking on
So you're talking about working through, the question is about working with Facebook. So with Facebook, and I build a lot of my business with Facebook. With Messenger, I had a template message that I'd send to people with a link and whatever. You have to realize that the goal, all Facebook is just another way to connect. Social media is just like having a conversation with somebody, but the ultimate goal with that is you want to get it offline as quickly as possible. So I would just say to somebody, hey, you know what, do you have a second to check my phone? You know, you want to get it because it's just too hard trying to do that with a text. So I try to get them on the phone. Did that answer your question? Okay. All right. Okay. So there it is. All right. So now let's talking about the business. This is a kind of an important subject. Have you ever told somebody, I have a network marketing business, right? And then you kind of get this look. That's sweet. You have a cute little hobby, right? And I'm like, no, I have an international multi-million-dollar business. And so this is the difference. You have to understand how to talk to somebody so that they get this picture in their head instead of that picture in their head, if that's what you're trying to create, right? And so it really comes down to what picture are you painting? We have a product that is so strong, and the stories are so compelling that it's mostly natural that we want to talk about the product a lot, right? It comes from a very organic place. It's really easy for me to tell you, hey, you know what? My back went out, I was on the ground. It was like the grand mal seizure of all back goings out. And I got on Soul, and the next day I was out of bed, and my wife is looking at me like I was Lazarus, And that is the truth. That really happened to me, okay? Now, if that's all I ever talk about, if that's what I'm painting, if I'm only talking about product and benefits, then what winds up happening is the people in my business wind up being customers or distributors that act like customers. And so it really just kind of ends there. They're an end consumer, but that's all that's happening. And that's good. That's, hey, I want customers, I want people to consume my product. But if it ends with them, that's not duplication, right? So maybe after about 6 months, one of those people goes, hey, you know, this has worked so well for me, maybe I should try doing this business too. But it took 6 months. It's a very long process, right? And then that person who watched me do what they consider the business, because look, people are watching everything you do, and everything you do, they think that's the business. So you model for people what they should do, because they're watching you, right? So what's he gonna go do now? Exactly what you did. He's gonna talk all about the product. And once again, I'm not saying don't talk about the product is the basis for everything. I'm gonna show you how to talk about the product in terms of business too. So his results will be exactly the same. Gonna get like a customer or a distributor that acts like one, and it may take her 6 months to decide to do the business, and then that's another long drawn out process. So if you do the math, if everybody that you bring into the business takes 6 months, you know, you start with your first 2, now you have, in 6 months you have 2 people, right, that want to do the business. Those 2, after a year, they've got 4 more people, right? A year and a half, you've got 14 people in your business, you know? So it's gonna take you quite a while. It'll take you 4.5 years to break the 1,000-person mark. Now, hey, you know what? Some people work at that pace, and God bless them, and they'll still build a big business, but do you really want to go that slow? Let me show you the difference. If you find 2 of the right people who become partners, and they understand what's at stake, and have a sense of urgency, and they're going to go out and make it happen because of the picture that you painted for them, well, heck, they can get 2 people in their first week and show those 2 people how to do the very same thing. And if that duplicates out, well, you'll break 1,000 people in 9 weeks. 9 weeks as opposed to 4.5 years. Now this is, of course, you know, assuming perfect duplication. And perfect duplication is how I'm showing you the principle. You know, I have thousands of people in my business. So does it work? Yeah, it does. Look at where, there you are, Lori. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're close to 500 people, and it's been, what, how many months?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
So, you know, we're moving at a nice clip here. All right? Now, sometimes when I explain this principle to people, people get they're like, well, but you know, I really got into this because I just want to help people. Okay, great. Let me ask you a question. How do you think you would help the most people the fastest? Talking to people about the product one at a time, one box at a time, or building an army of people who want to do the same thing? It's pretty obvious how you help the most people the fastest, by building a business, right? Okay, the next fear or question that people have is, but you know, I'm no great business story. I don't have some track record that people are gonna go, oh wow, I wanna be like you. And I'm so afraid they're gonna ask me, well, how much money have you made? I want you to contemplate. Now, you know, has anybody ever been asked that? Oh yeah, sure, right? But I want you to contemplate what an absurd question that is. I have a friend, and I put down an example of $2 million in franchise fees. My friend spent $4 million on a franchise, a burger franchise. Culver's, I think is what it was. How much money is he gonna make in his first few years? Because he's already out $4 million. He's building a business. What about my friend the dentist, who spent $266,000 going to dental school and $470,000 to open his practice? That's $736,000. How much money is he making in his first few years? It's a business. I'm building a business. That's an absurd question, you know. So just understand that, and you can just say, well, look, I'm building a business, just like any other business that takes time to build. But you can't point at people who have made a lot of money. You know, you can say, yeah, but you know what? I'm working with Paul. I'm working with Derek. I'm working with Susie. I know these people. I work with them closely, and they made millions in the industry. I'm about to, okay? All right, and really your track record, your personal track record, in the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. You know what matters? The facts. There's a certain set of variables that if you present to a business person, the variables are just undeniable. And so they add up to the proper picture. So you want to paint a different picture. You want to paint a picture of opportunity. So you're trying to get that person to that's the number one question in their mind is this worth my time? When you're talking to somebody about business, that's what they're weighing. Well, I don't know, so would this be worth my time? Because people don't do anything unless they think it's going to benefit their life somehow. And you want to paint such a picture that the light bulb goes off in their brain, and they go, okay, yeah, maybe this is something for me. How do you do that? Well, there's certain things you can talk about. And so here is something you should take some notes on. Okay, the market trends. Is this a favorable market for something like this? How about the company? You know, you can have a good market, but if you've got a company that doesn't know what it's doing, you can really screw things up, right? What about the company? The products, when you can talk about the products in terms of the demand and how it serves those market trends. How many people want something like I'm offering? What about the business model? What advantages does the business model of network marketing have? Is there a system? Is there a system for somebody's success? And the timing. You know, we've talked about timing, the importance of timing. You know, if you heard Paul Hickey speak, I don't know, some of you may have been on Paul's call, but Paul is a venture capitalist, very, very wealthy guy, owns his own private island. And, you know, he says, you know, that it's like the number 2 factor is timing in any sort of successful business venture. So if you put all those things into the mix, you know, and you paint that properly, out pops a picture of opportunity, right? And that's really what you're trying to do, because this is the last thing you want. You don't want to be thinking one thing and having the other person thinking the other, because you're thinking, man, this is going to be huge, and your prospect is going, oh yeah, this is so not worth my time. I don't want to be part of your sweet little hobby, right? Because I want to make money. Okay, so picture of opportunity. Now, let me ask you something. Why do people read the Wall Street Journal? Why do business people read the Wall Street Journal? What are they trying to spot? Trends, right? And why are trends important? Because if I understand what's happening in terms of the trends, then I have an advantage when it comes to investing my time and my money for a better return. Okay, so what are the trends that you can talk about, that you can identify when you're talking to somebody about this business? What picture can you paint for them in terms of the trends? Well, take some notes, because this is important. Back in 2001, there was an economist named Paul Zane Pilzer. He was an advisor to 3 presidents of the United States, and he wrote a book called The Wellness Revolution, How to Make a Fortune in the Next $1 Trillion Industry. And it wasn't a $1 trillion industry in 2001. He predicted that by 2011 it would be. Well, it was, and it's far surpassed that. In 2015, it was a $3.4 trillion a year industry, and now it is a $4.2 trillion a year industry. So when I'm talking about health and wellness, I'm talking about anything like spas, supplements, you know, massage therapists, anything that has to do with health and wellness falls within this bracket. So is that a huge trend? Is that a growing trend? Would that be something important for a business person to understand how much this is growing? Yeah, it would. And that's, you know, that would make me think twice. Wow, this is a pretty going concern, isn't it? Here's another fact that you can tell people. The overall global economy is growing at a rate of 3.6%. The wellness industry is growing at a rate of 6.4% a year. So almost twice the pace, right? That kid's hitting puberty real fast. Hello? Okay. All right. Another factor that's driving this is people are sick. And we got a lot of sick people. You know, 1/3 of America has diabetes. That's freaking scary. Autoimmune diseases are just off the charts. Obesity, off the charts. So do people need what we have? Yeah, and they're not just asking for it, they are screaming for it. So is the demand, first of all, is the market huge? Yes. Is the demand off the charts? Yes. People aren't just asking for this, they're screaming for this product. Okay, and demand is central to any success of any business. Do you see how we're painting a little bit of a different picture than, hey, it's gonna help your achy knee? Okay, so you need to know how to talk to people about this. All right, the third thing, the company. Well, you know, who are the owners? That's pretty important to know, right? Because we don't want owners that are gonna take the company off the rails. When I learned who the owners of this company were, I just went, oh my gosh, this is like the dream ownership. Because, you know, it's not some family that owns it. I did that before. You know what I learned about families that own businesses? Families are crazy. Okay. Okay. So I didn't want one person or one family controlling my destiny. This is a group of investors, and they come from all of the perfect backgrounds. So the manufacturer of all the Rain products is one of the major owners of Rain. So they understand manufacturing. Finance guys that come from the world of banking, 2 of them, that invested their own private money because they went, oh my gosh, and they invested with us. Tech people, okay? The guy that designed the back office is one of the owners of Rain. Marketing people, Daniel Scarpino. This is a guy that gets invited to all of the top marketing confabs with like Nike and Apple and the big, big brands. And they invite Daniel all the time. He's one of the owners. And then, of course, we have people that are very, very versed in the world of network marketing. So to me, this is like the dream team of people that would own a company that I want to be part of. And this is a great story to tell people, right? It's not just some Harvard MBA guy who doesn't have the slightest clue what we do out here in the field. These people know what we do, right? And they have other expertise all around them. Second thing, now this is the other thing. Byron Belka. Does everybody know who Byron is? He's the CEO. Byron used to be a distributor in the original Rain Nutrition. He bought the company with all those guys, okay? And has done nothing but grow since Byron took over. And I thought, man, that's a guy that's marched in the band. That guy's qualified to lead the parade, right? And he knows me, he gets us. And really, if you look at the compensation plan and you have any experience in network marketing, you're gonna go, yeah, a distributor designed that compensation plan because it's very, very lucrative for the distributors. The company, what is the company's long-term vision? This is really important. If you're going to invest your time in something, do you want it to be around in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Yeah, so you better understand, where are they going? And that was the first question I asked Byron Belka when I sat down with him. I said, you know, what's your goal here with this company? Do you want to sell this thing? Do you have an exit strategy? Are you trying to go public? And the answers were no, no, and no. Our intention is to provide a platform for people to create opportunity and legacy income for decades to come. And I went, okay, I can get on board with that. So that was really important. And then they have a plan for developing a lot more products because seeds, there's thousands of them. And do you know how exciting that is that you can have a single story, very simple story. We're not going to be selling, you know, technology or telephone time anytime soon. It's the story of the seed. That's not changing, and every product will have to do with the seed, but there's thousands of them. Thousands of peer-reviewed studies on different, I promise you, at some point we're going to have a seed-based toothpaste. Okay? There's so many things that we can develop from seeds. So it's a huge, huge vision, and they want to be the next billion-dollar-plus company in the network marketing space, but it's even bigger than that. They feel that they want to just be the company, inside or outside of network marketing, that brought seed, nutrition, science to the world. So that's the other thing, you know. They have this huge vision. Another question that a business person would want to know is, hey, can they grow this thing? Can they scale this thing? Do they have a plan for that? Do they have the capital for that? Or is this thing going to get out of hand when it grows too fast and they're just going to tank? Well, the short answer to this question is yeah, they do have the capital to grow the company, and they do have a plan, a 5-year or 10-year plan already in place. Next thing is, do they have a competitive advantage in the marketplace? That's an important question. What's special about this company? Well, they were first to market with the concept. They brought this into the marketplace. And category creator companies like this, where they're first to market, they grab the biggest market share. You know, when you think about tissue for your nose, what do you think of? That's called a what? A Kleenex, right? It could be A, B, C, D, X brand, but it's called a Kleenex because they were first, right? And so it's the same thing. In the south of the US, if you buy any kind of soda, it's called a Coke. I don't care if it's orange Fanta, it's, you want a Coke? And they're handing me this orange, and I'm like, what? You know, that's just what they say in the South, because Coke was there first. So every drink like that is a Coke, right? So we're first to market, we have this first mover advantage, and you know, I talked about this a little bit earlier in my presentation, but we have all these trends from different categories of herbs and capsules and superfood juices and essential oils. These are huge trends in health and wellness. But what Ray created was the category that ate all other categories and created the biggest category of all time, you know? So it's the biggest category in the biggest category. Health and wellness is the biggest category in network marketing, just so you understand that. So this is huge in terms of opportunity. Do they have a track record of success? I would want to know that as a business person. So you can talk about that. Rain has had consistent growth over the years since 2011 when they were first established. They have not hit momentum, which we'll talk about, which is really a good thing for you guys. But consistent growth, established in 2011, they're over 5 years old. Most companies are in danger before they're 5 years old or more. And they're in 30 plus international markets, which means, once again, I'm talking to a business person. Hey, Bob, you know what? Your business and the economy of your business is not limited to your local economy. It's not limited to Edmonton. This is a worldwide opportunity. And you can help them understand that. Now, the product is the engine of everything. The product is important. It's the engine, it drives it. If people aren't consuming product, you don't have anything. We've already established that our product is fabulous. We've heard all these amazing testimonials. So let's talk about how you talk about the product in terms of business. Oh, yes, did you have a question?
No, just a reminder, Susie has her call at 3. We're going to catch Susie on that call.
Okay, what time is it?
And we have to get it.
Okay, well, we're wrapping up here pretty soon. Okay, so the product, it's scientifically verified. Why is that important in terms of business? Because you can shorten the window of credulity. In other words, you can get somebody to believe it faster. They don't have to have a clinical trial that has one person in it, which is them. The product's not on trial. It's already proven. So I can already show you how this is going to lower inflammation, how it's going to decrease the rate at which you're aging, and decrease the oxidation in your body. That's established. So that's very, very important. Is the product unique? Yeah, I can't buy this at Costco, and nobody can imitate me at Costco for less money. Is the product patented? Yeah, we have 17 patents. This is something a business person would want to know. And we talked about all of the different, other verifications that we have. So here's a key question that also is important to a business person. Because sometimes they say, yeah, but people are only buying it because it's in that MLM thing and they just want to make money. So the question is, would somebody want to buy this if it wasn't attached to a compensation plan? Well, where do our sales come from? 55% of our sales come from customers. That's somebody who has never given a social security number to the company. They're not in it because they have to buy a box to get a check. They're in it because I really like that, I really like what it did for me, I want more of that. That's a very strong position to build from, because if you build a network, it will stick. Does that make sense? That's a very important fact that you can tell somebody, because most network marketing companies look like this. 15% customers, 85% distributors. Highly consumable. It's very important that your products go up in smoke or down the drain fast, that they disappear, or you don't have that cycle of ordering, right? That wouldn't create a residual income if they didn't do that. Do our products do that? Yes. The business model, okay, network marketing. Most people are in a job and someone else is in charge of your compensation, your advancement, your time, your vacation, your future. The way to escape that is to start a business, right? That's really the key to wealth. The problem is most businesses go out of business. 50% fail in the first year, 80% fail by year 5, 96% fail by year 10. You can hedge your bet by starting a franchise because they have a proven system, but that's, like $50 to $1 million or more. You're buying their system, but it works. So with traditional businesses and franchise, you have a high startup cost and a high risk. It's somewhat ameliorated the risk when it comes to franchises. Ongoing overhead, cost of the building, risk of management and inventory, maintenance costs, labor costs, hiring and management of employees, accounting responsibilities, and you're trading time and items for money, and you're tied to that location. You gotta be physically there to earn. I've never heard of a dentist with residual income, right? They gotta be there dentisting, or it's not happening, right? So it's a limited model. Network marketing, let's talk about that. Low startup costs, low risk. They've got a system that can help you. No buildings, no maintenance, freedom, no inventory, no employees, no bookkeeping, accounting, or payroll, and you get paid over and over and over again once the work is done. You can do something once, get paid for it over and over. That's because of leverage. John D. Rockefeller said, I would rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. And this is a very powerful thing that is not present in most businesses. So when you first start out, you're going to spend a lot of time and not make a lot of money, because it's all you. The minute you have one other person in your business who has the same intention of you, that's cut in half. You're half the effort in your business. And you become a third, and a sixth, and a 10th, and a 1/100th, and 1/10,000th as it grows. And then the relationship between time and money flips, and you can spend less time and make more money. In a traditional business, it's got a location. You're going to pull from a certain region. Network marketing, it's unlimited. It's global. Just some quick facts about network marketing. 116 million distributors, $189 billion a year in sales. The wellness category is 34% of that, the personal care is 32%, so our products cover 66% of that $189.6 billion. The system, do we have a system? You bet. 21st century network marketing. If you can send a video, you can do it. It's simple, tap that screen. Your business goes with you wherever you are. So that's very attractive to business people, because it's freedom, right? Okay. The last thing about this is the timing, and we talked about this. So, if you could hop, okay, I want to just frame this quickly. How many times have you had somebody say, well, let me just think about it. I just want to think about it. And it's just a stall tactic. You haven't given them enough of a sense of urgency. So this is what I tell people. If you could hop in a time machine right now, knowing what you know right now, and take that knowledge back to 1979, land in front of this house, this garage, where the first Apple computer was being built by Steve Jobs, would you go into that garage and say, how do I invest in your company? I want to spend some time helping you develop this company. Would you do that? You bet your life you would. Well, let me tell you something. Rain is in the garage as far as your opportunity goes. Okay? We talked a little bit about that growth curve of network marketing. This is typical. Derek's story about Nu Skin, 1985 to 1990, it took them that long to do $50 million a year. 1991, they did $500 million in 1 year. And Derek's income went from $5,000 a month to $50,000 a month. And that is very, very typical, and that's exactly where Rain is. We're in between $50 and $100 million a year. So you want to get in front of that wave. You want to work right now as hard as you can. Swim as fast as you can to stay in front of the wave, because if you're in front of it, the wave comes behind you and propels you. The last thing you want to have happen to you is be swimming behind it, right? Don't be that guy. Do not swim behind that wave. The time to do it is now. Do you see how you can build a sense of urgency just by showing people some facts? Okay, so I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about how to talk business to people. The time really is now. That's the sense of urgency that you need to give people. So, let's take this thing off the charts. Here we go. Let's go out and make it rain. Okay, we're set. Thanks so much.